The cam, sorry, is not on right now, and it's only because I'm trying to fucking chill for a second because I have issues. I guess we'll start by saying that I have issues. Um, I don't necessarily like calling them issues like that, like because I don't look at them like that. Like it's to me not it's not so much of an issue so much as it is a let's see how can I word this. So okay, I don't have a gauge. I don't have a regulator on my anger. So it's like I'm all the way down and chill, or if you get me mad, because usually it takes it's not like I just get mad over something stupid. Um, is it? Is it not? Where are you at? Are you in the states? It's a little chilly where I'm at. I mean, it may be nice out, it may be clear, but it's very extremely chilly. So, um, thank you guys for joining me on. It's like kind of that's why the camera's not on right now. 'Cause honestly, I'm pretty sure I look like crap. Not that it matters, but like I'm trying to sort out thoughts of mine, and it's kind of like the only way I really. Let me know too if y'all cannot hear me good enough, and I'll get closer to the mic or uh, figure out what to do. Yeah, it looks like y'all can hear me a lot better. Hey, how are you? Um, it's just one of those things where like it's a I, like I know that I can be difficult sometimes. I think that, and I'm not trying to use this as a cop out or like a scapegoat or whatever, but like I know that I'm not easy to deal with because, uh, well, for the majority of my life, I've basically had undiagnosed um, Asperger's, and then by the way, it's very nice to meet you, Andrew. I don't know if I got to tell you that. Was it last night or when I seen you in the chat the other? One of the chats that I've seen you. I've definitely seen you before. I think it was maybe last night at Sasquatch or the other time I was at Sasquatch. But so the undiagnosed Asperger's for like, and when I say the majority of my life, I mean the majority of my life. I'm 36. I've only known about it for the last 3 4 years basically. Um, diagnosed about 2.5 years ago. Um, then everything started making sense. Hey, buddy, how's it going? Everything started making sense to me as to like why I was the way I was. For example, like I've always been a real picky eater, not like you know what I mean? Let's see. I think I can do it like that right there, can I? Boom, boom. Um, yeah. So it's hard for me to um articulate some of that stuff to people too. For example, like I'm it's not so much that I'm a picky eater. I go through phases where like, for example, I'll eat certain things for like an extended amount of time and then I'll just get tired of them and I'll switch it up. Um, but and then I'm also really light sensitive sometimes and sound sensitive. Certain things, textures, stuff like that really irritate the crap out of me. Being around a lot of people in public messes with me because I know that I'm easily triggered sometimes, and I have a hard time, not popping off. Um, and, yeah, yeah, like I do, yeah. I switch stuff up a lot in some aspects, but then there's some things that are like so crucial and imperative to me being able to function somewhat normally in life that if you switch that up, it's gonna throw a wrench in my shit so bad that I'm gonna come unglued because I'm not prepared for that. Like I can be prepared for things, but there's still gonna be an adjustment period in that being prepared. Like that's why I'm not a big person like I don't like surprises, not very much. And because 9 times out of 10, if somebody tells me they got a surprise for me, it's probably not gonna be good. So I've learned to like not um oh wow. Oh wow. That's crazy. Dang. Did did they start following you back? So that's crazy. I do worry about that too sometimes. like, um, the amount of exposure that I put on myself or, like, putting myself out there and being so transparent and so open about me and my life and even where I am sometimes, it's like, yeah, I realize I messed up, you know? Like, I realized that was probably not as smart as it should have been, but I've also, uh, been through enough stuff early on in life to where I am a little bit more aware of my surroundings than probably, most chicks my age or than I feel like most chicks in my town would normally be because we didn't used to have a lot of crime or anything like that. Um, it is, it really is. It is so much like a simulation that it's like my little green bar that should be full with the energy is literally in the red and probably going into the negative at most of the time right now. Except and but then there's like days where I hide it real well. Um, I hide it real well, like that I'm having fucking a lot of shit going on, and you would not ever really know it until like today when I'm having a freaking terrible, terrible day and having a horrible, horrible time keeping it together and not literally having an absolute epic meltdown. And that happens to me at least twice a year. Um, and then there are occasional meltdowns where I end up having to stay in the hospital because I think more of my meltdowns literally, bleh, I cannot, words for garbage, are related more to people not having a better understanding of the spectrum that is autism and that people with Asperger's because we don't always seem like we have autism. People don't believe that we have autism when we say that, or they think that it's bullshit. That also really frustrates me um, because it's not. And I know that anybody who's in here that deals with that on a regular basis probably feels the same way I do. Like that was why last year I dubbed it the audacious year because it was nothing but audacity and rampant stupidity wild all year long. And we're supposed to be like ascending and progressing and stuff. Like, no, they don't. They really don't. They're constantly trying to conquer and divide. That's their best strategy plan for fucking as long as I can remember. Yet then we start pointing stuff out because we have logical and critical thinking skills. Some of us do, anyways. And all of a sudden, we're the bad guys. That's the shit that has me literally losing my marbles on a day to day basis. Like, I'm sorry. Are you? And I don't mean saying this because I know people do get offended over this word, but it's like, um, when I use it and I say the R word, when I say, "Are you retarded or whatever?" I literally mean that in a way that I'm not talking about people that are because I don't think that about those people. I don't. I don't even use that word like that. The reason why I use that word is because it's to me that's more like a blatant ignorancy when people are like that when they just deliberately blatantly ignore shit that they're fully intelligent and capable of understanding and then they just go yeah I don't know what you're talking about it doesn't make any sense to me. That's the kind of stuff if people y'all really want to know why there is this mass uptick in uh, homicides and school shootings and all these horrific um, like domestic partnership crimes going on that have went up, it is because of the amount of narcissists and the amount of tolerance that we have let it go on that it's to me I wonder if we're ever going to be able to undo it because they're so good at what they do. You know what I mean? They're so good at what they do that it's hard for people like us who are known to be telling the truth to point that out and people actually be like, "Oh man, they are fucking her. They are fucking with her. They are really damn." No, it's super fucking hard. Trust me, I know I grew up with a sister that is a narcissist and literally she never did anything wrong. Everything was always my fault and I always got in trouble. Everything always was Emma's fault because she's the oldest and I should have known better. Didn't matter what it was. I was getting in trouble. That's another reason why I've turned into a bitter bitch at times. And no, honestly, I don't really care. I don't care. I don't care that people think I'm a bitch. I worked my whole damn life on that. Being an honest bitch. Not a lying bitch, an honest bitch. So yes, yes, I'm a bitch. no, I am not sorry, and I will never be sorry that I'm a bitch. Because when I am, I promise you, if you take the time to listen to what I'm going off about, because I don't sugarcoat shit on either side of the story. If I did some fucked up shit, I'll tell you, yeah, I did some fucked up shit. I shouldn't have did it. I regret it, but I will admit it. So that's why I have a hard time understanding when people come at me and go, for one, like I don't understand shit. I'm like, yeah, even with my little eighth grade education, I probably understand more than you do, jackass. But that um that I just for whatever reason I can't possibly relate to them. I'm like, why would you think that I can't relate to you? Like, I'm a person. I have feelings, just like you have feelings, and we all have mothers um, that eventually we're one day going to lose. Hopefully, not anytime soon. But when I don't care if it's your son, your daughter, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, whatever, and or how you lost that person. Loss is loss. It is very hard to deal with. Whether it, like I said, whether it's your mom, dad, whatever, they are all a little bit different in the aspect of how you grieve and how long you grieve and what you go through in grieving. But it's still loss, and to me, for someone that's going through loss, to go to come off at another person and say like you don't know what you're talking about or you can't possibly you don't know what that's like. Okay, no, no, I don't know what it's like to lose my mother. However, I do know what it's like to lose uh, both my grandmothers, my son, my grandfathers, and two really close friends, all before I was 33. So, yeah, and basically a sister because I don't even speak to her anymore because of what's going on with her. So it's the same in that aspect. So I understand loss and I understand grief, and I'm still learning to cope with trauma. Um, because of the amount of trauma that I've been through and the ages that I was going through some of these traumas, I did not understand them as trauma. And some of them I didn't even realize that they were that deeply effective to my psyche and my being that I am today until very recently as well. And hopefully I can find a way in this year when I'm doing my podcast as well as these lives to navigate through some of that without um, offending some people or making them feel like what I have to say um, makes me feel less about it because I don't. In fact, if things hadn't happened to me the way they did early on in childhood, I really wouldn't be the person that I am right now. I wouldn't have children. I know I wouldn't have children at all, and I wouldn't be on YouTube. Y'all probably would never ever hear from me or know who I am because I'd be working for the FBI. That was my plan. That was my dream. That was literally the only thing on my agenda from fucking 5th grade on was to be a criminal behavioral analysis. And uh, I know I made the mistake. I know I wasn't the only person that made, and it's not a mistake. I was just not careful and being responsible. Um, that being said, if I was if I was able enough to make the decision that I did that got me in that situation, I feel like they the adults that took over that situation should have at least taken my feelings and my thoughts about said situation into consideration, which they did not. They did not at all take my feelings into consideration, didn't ask my opinion on any of it, what I wanted to do about any of it or anything. They was basically like, "Yeah, you got yourself into this situation and whether you like it or not, this is the way we've decided that you're going to deal with it. Oh, and by the way, after that, for the rest of your life, for at least the next 18 to 20 years, we're going to treat you like you're a shit human being and constantly belittle you and down talk you and try to put a wedge between you and your daughter and or with my other children for as much as you can with my son as well. Like, why do y'all want to do that? Parents that do that to the other parent, you try to turn your kid against that parent, it's gonna backfire in your face. It's really gonna backfire in your face, and that's what um, both both my children's fathers have kind of done. One of them, I think he did it like not really realizing that's what he was doing was parental alienation. The other one, I feel like it definitely deliberately um, does things because he does not want me to look like I'm a good mother. He doesn't want me to look like I'm a good person. He doesn't because he doesn't like me. He's determined to make my son think that all the things that he thinks about me are true. Do I think my son thinks that? Not really. Um, do I think because of some of the shit that he's probably heard about me that he's nervous about spending more time with me than he does? Yeah, I do think that. I do think that there's a narrative that's been pushed on him for quite some time, and uh, there wasn't really a whole lot I could do about that because I took a class that taught me what I needed to do in the situation when we were separating, as far as how to co-parent with my ex and have Tristan or whatever. And I'm doing what I'm supposed to do on mine. Um, and he can try to twist it up and make it look like I have abandoned him, which I haven't, because I haven't, because I just talked to my son for like 30 minutes earlier today. What I don't do is go over and visit on a regular basis and put myself in a situation where I have in the past went and visited, and then for some reason his dad's super nice to me when he's not around, when my son's not around. When my son's around, he's a jackass. He talks down to me. He talks to me like I'm stupid and degrades me. And then even if I stick up for myself in his house, he gets pissed. And I just sit there and I'm thinking, son, if you can hear me and telepathically, and trust me, I know you can sometimes. Please God, take note right now that your mom is sitting here calmly, getting ready to walk out of here and not say anything to your dad, and that everything your dad just did in front of you was fucking wrong. And when you become an adult, don't ever let your mother hear that you are behaving in this way, or so help the good Lord above, because it's not right. And also, don't get with a chick that's going to act like that either. This shit is not acceptable. I don't care what they say. It's not justifiable. I've lost a child. I don't run around with my ass on my shoulder. I've lost family members, friends, stuff. I don't run around with my fucking ass on my shoulders like the way they do. And they use those things as a justification for why they're being shit people. I'm sorry. I'm not the one that you want to bring your shit excuses to the table with, because I will shove it off in the floor and tell you to go fuck yourself. Because like that is the reason why I am the way I'm not. I mean, sometimes people will try to make me feel bad about the way I am. Like the way I'm talking to y'all right now is the way I am in real life. This is exactly me. Yeah, I promise you, you were to see me out in the street, this is no different than how I am in real life. Even my kids will tell you that too. Like, they'll tell you, what does Gigi say? Gigi said, suck her balls. That's exactly what she said. Because I've been through so much stuff and overcoming it and still being able to get up and do this, put a smile on my face, try to do a podcast, and not have turned into a homicidal maniac. People that do talk crap to me ain't been through a fraction of the shit I've been through. So I'm like, do you really think I believe for 1 second what you're saying? And do you really think it's affecting me like that? It's not affecting me the way you want it to. It's affecting me in a way that's inevitably going to really be bad for you. If one thing 20, 21, and 22 taught me is, girl, you and Patience have got to start making friends with one another, have more date nights and shit, because Patience was something I wasn't born with, which is why initially I knew that I wasn't cut out to be a parent. I wasn't ready for that. I'm not good with kids. I'm good with my kids now because I know, right? Trust me, I thought about it. I'm just kidding. I was just like, Lord, all day I said, Lord, please, please just let me make it through the day. If you'll just let me make it through the day without hurting anybody, I swear. I swear I'll be calmer tomorrow. But I did my friend Claudia, she's really Christian. I love her to death. She cracks me up because, and she's just like me, she's 0 to 100 real quick. You bet don't you dare. But every time she gets mad, she'll calm down. She go, whoo, I'm gonna have to forgive them so God will forgive me. And I'm like, oh, yes. And I'm like, that is so true, because I'm gonna need forgiveness if not. And also, I do take a lot more time now anyways to try to step back and be like, "Girl, what if your grandkids saw you act, or what if your kids actually seen you popping off to this extent?" that you are right now. Do you realize how ridiculous you look? So I try to dial it back. I really, really have tried to dial that back. That's why I do some of the stuff I do with the channels, my podcast, and try to stay busy reading and educating myself because if not, then for one, I look dumb as shit trying to argue with people, especially if I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. And then two, it keeps my mind occupied and from roaming into those areas where toxicity could be lingering and I could just jump right into it and backstroking that shit. I hate that. I hate that. That's why I'll, like, visit the true crime community, but then I have to, like, take a step back sometimes because I can see how infectious and insidious that it can be from time to time, and it's real easy to get caught up in that, like, it really is, but I don't like that. I don't like negativity. I'm not a negative person. Like, I'm not necessarily a morning person, like, you come and just start talking early in the morning, but, like, I'm generally happy in the morning. As long as I got my coffee, I'm pretty chill, and I'll shoot the shit with anybody. But if you come down and you get in my face, you sit down and you start saying crazy shit like, "Oh, I just wanna die," or, "Oh, it's gonna be a bad day," and and, like, you're fucking Eeyore or whatever, like, no. Keep your donkey ass moving because I don't wanna hear that shit. I spent, like, 12 and a half years with a dude that's literally stamped beside the word negativity in the dictionary, okay? I did not leave that to come and get with that. That's why I do not wanna be in a relationship. So I laugh every time people say something about relationships. I'm like, "Ah, ah, you're crazy." No, not me. Not ever. Not anytime soon. In fact, the only time that I even fathom being in a relationship is the long distance one that I have with my girl upstate. And that works. It works for us because we're there for each other. We understand one another. We talk to each other. We get like what's going on around us and why shit is happening the way it is. And we obviously because we live in two different places, we have not had the unfortunate experience of sex complicating that, which it usually does at some point, or it tends to. Obviously, once you sleep with someone, it tends to change the dynamic of the situation, regardless of how solid it was to begin with. We all know that. I don't even know what that means. I gotta put that up. That's funny. Um, yeah, it's like, yeah, true. I mean, well, see, at my point too in my life, like I've done what quote unquote God created us to do apparently, which was procreate. So I did that, and I did that, and then they're also procreating. So that got that nailed in the bag, sewed up. Um, I'm not married. Never really been something that was on my agenda. Really, um, it's not really been on my agenda. But if I do, I've all the stuff I'm going through now is training for that. If it eventually does happen, I promise you this: when I get married, it's gonna be the one. It's gonna he or she will be the one. I won't have to worry about. Okay, that's rain. For a second, I was tripping, and I thought, I swear, if there's a dang mouse running along the wall right there beside me on the outside of my curtain, I'm gonna die. I could. That's about all I could say. That just put me over the edge. Hey, Arctic, how are you doing? That would put me over the edge, y'all, tonight. I'm in one of those moods where the mousetrap would be mercy for him. The dumbbell is what he's looking at if he comes out in front of me tonight. Any mouse, any critter, tonight they gonna get it because I ain't the one. I'm trying to calm down, y'all. I don't want to do that. I really don't. I really don't. But we all have those days too. We would really, truly, you you would lie if you sit there and say you ain't had days where you just literally feel like Milton when they took his red stapler and then moved his ass into the corner of the basement, like, "Y'all take my stapler, I'm gonna blow this motherfucker up." Yeah, I have those days too, a lot of times. In fact, I'll make little jokes like, "See, this is what happens. Y'all gonna fuck around and keep messing with my stapler. See what happens. See what happens. See." And y'all gonna come in one day and ain't gonna be no damn building. To the floor? Stuck it wait a minute, like with a nail gun or some shit like whoa, that's savage. But I mean, it's pos Imma tell you what, I had an incident with possum one time that really messed me up, and, ever since then, I've tried to be a little bit more empathetic to them. But I was driving one night, and it was like 2 or 3 in the morning. I was on my way home from dropping my buddy off at third shift, and I'm going down the river, driving on this like a very straight, a straight road for like a mile and a half. It's nothing but straight, and there was only me and one other car on the road at the time. And then there was this possum, and it came out of nowhere. And before I knew it, we were literally making eye contact with one another right before I hear, "Doo-doo," and I just like, oh man, why, Emma? You looked at it, y'all made eye contact, y'all connected, and then you killed it. There was nothing. If I would have swerved and overcorrected, I would have went into the river and I probably would have died. So, in that sense, I guess it was, like, mine or his, but, like, it happened so fast, it was literally eye contact, boom, and then I cried for the rest of the way home because I could not get that out of my head and, like, wish that there was something I could have done to fix that. I hated that, like, it really messed with me. So, I try to be nicer to them. I had a raccoon bring her 2 babies after I caught her in my trash twice and ran her off already. The 3rd time, she had her 2 babies, almost, like, trying to win me over with her babies, and I felt bad because I threw water at her to try to scare her off, and she hissed at me, but she's never really came back. But I won't do that with the bears. I don't mess with bears. They're around here and they're always ready to throw down, and usually it's a mama and some cubs, so I don't play that either. Because as little as I am, it may not be much of a meal to them, but if they're hungry, they'd probably eat my ass. So I ain't trying to be no bear. I ain't trying to be a snack for Yogi. None of that. No. No, sir. And oh, do okay. Do any of y'all keep up with well, I know Arctic does, the true crime stuff. For example, do y'all know about like Kanye is missing and he's been missing for like 3 weeks? And I know some people are like, that's normal. My daughter was like, yeah, can you tell? Like super south. Um, oh wow. Oh my goodness. Who gives a cat a bath? A cat can give itself a bath. I'm also not a cat person. I'm just saying, all you cat people, I love y'all. Uh, what? I'm sorry. No, no. What do I need one for? They got fake dicks I can buy in the store all day long that I could probably do myself better with. Just saying. A man don't need a woman, then why do y'all run around acting like straight bitches whenever y'all are pussy wood? That's a total, like, that was the most bizarre statement I think I've ever read. How would we need them and y'all not need us? Do y'all see how y'all freaking melt down when one of us leaves y'all? But also, I seen what other people do when their men leave them. It works both ways. It works both ways. I think we need each other, honestly. I think it's more of, but it's yeah, and what is that with Jeffree Star getting? He says he got out of Illuminati. First of all, you must not have been in the Illuminati because if you were, nobody gets out of the Illuminati and then talks about it. Are you insane? I know. I was like, I'm so confused. But either way, what do you mean it's just the way we're made? What do you mean? Are you talking about like genitalia, like, or what? I'm trying to get the cat off. Wait, what? Aren't meant to be alone. Gender has see, exactly, because, originally at our I believe our true intended being was more androgynous, like we are starting to see people become more androgynous. I'm not talking about hermaphrodites where we have both parts. I'm talking about androgynous. Well, I don't think everybody that's in humanity is truly a full-blown human either. There are human hybrids and all that's in between. There's cryptids and all that stuff. Name one thing that 2 or 3 of my cars, I worked my ass off with my hard-earned money, and I bought them off my grandmother, so no, I didn't need a man. You're welcome. Um, that is like the most sexist thing I think I've ever what? So, are you a woman hater or something? Name one thing that you have that you didn't need a woman to get. Did you have a baby? You have babies? Have you had a baby come out of your penis? Who did my grandmother get what from? My grandmother? She probably bought them from a dealership. So there's a 50-50 chance that she got it from a man or a woman. Like what? You you can't have a baby without one, okay? So I win that argument at the end of the day. Hello? We can't have babies without y'all. Actually, we can. It's called in vitro. And but like I think that's like that should just be settled. Are you kidding me? I'd have to dig up my grandmother who's dead and then ask her about that. I don't give a shit who owned the dealership. There's a 50-50 chance it's a man or a woman. I happen to know 3 dealerships around here that are owned by females. Now I'm gonna turn the camera on so y'all can see my facial expressions because y'all got me marb over here. And when I say marb is my reference for marbling up, which is another word for dead. It was a man. How do you know it was a man? Because you were there. Did you sell my grandmother the car? Did you work for the Kia dealership? Did you work for the Chevy dealership? My papa's been dead long before then, so no. And my grandmother worked her ass off all her life and did not depend on a man. So nice try again, sir. Neither did my great grandmother. Neither does my mom. And her and my dad are still together. They understand that it's a team thing. It's a team thing. Okay? That type of shit right there, that type of mentality is what is wrong with so many people these days. Like, you gotta be kidding me. I think you're just doing that just to get a reaction out of me. I'm not even gonna lie. Because why else would you say that? Why? Male body doesn't mean the person will be living. That's true. I don't hate that I need a man. I don't need a man. What I don't understand is why I put emotional energy into things and they're not reciprocated when they should be. I don't hate men. I hate men that don't think or say don't think before they speak. That's annoying. Okay, there's nothing wrong with needing a woman either. Like I said, it's a partnership thing. It's not a you're better than me or me better than you thing. It's a partnership thing. Like, I know. Am I happier with or without a man? Oh, mm, honestly, without one, because I have male friends that I that are just they're literally it's very platonic and they're my friends. So if in that sense, there's men in my life. I don't have to have them in my life 24/7. I also don't have to have females in my life 24/7 because that would also drive me batshit crazy. Women are also difficult to deal with. I'm very obviously androgynous, which is why I find it hard to relate to women sometimes and equally hard to relate to men. But I understand the duality of that and that we can't have one without the other. You just can't. You wouldn't know light if you didn't have dark. You wouldn't know dark if you didn't have light. See what I'm saying? Oh yeah, no shit. No shit. Okay, yeah. One of my exes lives a couple counties over, and then the other one lives about 20 minutes from here. But it's like it's about another being. Exactly. Exactly. I'm not justifying anything. I don't hate not having a man. I literally don't care if I have a man or not. Do you really think that I don't get offered dates and people don't hit me up all the time or something? Because you'd be really wrong on that. If you want to, you can take over and just shove them away for me. I don't hate not having a man. If I wanted a man, I could have one. I'm pretty sure. Even with this asshole attitude right now, I probably would if he was decent and treated me with respect and respected my opinions and thoughts as much as I do theirs. That's the issue I have with when I get in relationships with men. Um, like I'm sure you get hit on a lot. What is that? What do you mean? I get hit on just because people want to bang me? Yeah, I'm sure. And you know what they get? Nothing, because I'm not in it for that. Sex is fucking stupid and superficial, and I'm not gonna sleep with you if I haven't connected with you on a more intimate level. So, um, people thinking that Arctic Fox knows how I feel about this. Is not Taco Tuesday. It's never Taco Tuesday here. Okay, nobody respects me in the morning. I'm so sorry. hmm That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like well, no, honestly, with me, it is one of those things where I have to really like connect with you on a deeper level than just physical attraction. Like I could be physically attracted to someone and not sleep with them, and literally go out of my way to not sleep with them, even though I'm attracted to them like that. Um, so yeah, so I have to be. Um, y'all are cracking me up. That I don't know what respects me in the morning, but I can't it because I feel like sex is like I know it's not okay. Let's see how can I word this where it makes sense. Like okay, being, irresponsible like I was at such a young age and sleeping with my daughter's dad and my son's dad, and not really getting to know them on a more personal level than I did, um, is why I am the way I am now with that, and, I feel like that's another reason why I'm so adamant about being that way now because I'm not gonna just I'm not here for that. Like that's what people did back in the day. And if I wanted to just be banging people all the time, that's what I would have did. I didn't do that because I was at home being a mom until I left my ex and was like, you know what? Even still then um I didn't go and start sleeping around. I didn't do that. I was like, you know what? Obviously there is some stuff about me that I need to work on that and I also need to just start dealing with all these traumas that I had just then started realizing that's a trauma, Emma. That was a trauma, and then you got another trauma laid on you, and then before you could deal with those two traumas, you were in the middle of another very extremely huge trauma, and a life changing decision had to be made at the age of 16. And all that stuff, I still at that time did not understand the gravity of it as the trauma that it was. So I just kinda, like, brushed it aside, dealt with it. Why? Because I got kids and they need a mom, and I can deal with that shit later. And that's how I was for, like, 13, 14 years, um, of my daughter's life, and then my son, I think, was 8 when I left his dad, and I that was for the best. Now that was very smart. That I can agree with. I totally I feel that. That's what I would like hope to obtain in a relationship with a man, right? Okay. But any man so far, up until very recently, there's been like one or two that have been that respectful, that still courts me and does that and all that stuff, regardless of how responded or not responded I've been, because I am busy sometimes and I don't always have time to respond to messages or whatever when I do get them. But um, those that message me and aren't being like the unsolicited dick pics, yeah, that's not cool. I don't care about that, and that's a good way for me to just be like and block you. And most of the time, I won't even block. I'll just kind of just like act like you're just not there because like I didn't ask you for that. I don't wanna see that. and there's no way to know that until you open it. I mean, that's the reason why now, if you send me a multimedia message, chances are I am not going to open it unless I really, really, really know you, because you just never know, and I don't like seeing that. I just don't like seeing that. And now that'll have me thinking for a while. I'm like, damn. And then I'm gonna be calling up my Christian friend like, hey, boo face, let me drop some shit on you real quick. What you think about this? Because we have these conversations all the time. She knows that like we grew up in church together, and a lot of stuff happened as we grew older, and we've always lived in the same town, and we've had separate lives, and then just very recently we've reconnected and started hanging out again and talking about all these different things, and ah, that's also a good way to look at it too. Um, so like me and her constantly have these conversations um about spirituality and about men, women, especially Adam and Eve and the Garden of Eden and all that stuff. We haven't really talked about homosexuality that much, only because obviously she's Christian. It's a sensitive subject matter to talk to some people about when you're not Christian and they are. It's just one of those things where it's like it's hard for you to get. And also, it almost feels bad when you're talking to them, like for me, anyways. And I'm talking to her, I almost feel like, and when I'm having these conversations with her, and she's genuinely listening, and I can tell it's like making her. I can see the gears turning in her head, knowing that she's such a devout Christian. I almost feel bad, like, oh my God, what if she suddenly converts and goes, you know what? I'm not doing this religion thing anymore. Like me, I'm spiritual. I read about a lot of different religions. My friend has a degree in religious science, and so yeah, so we talk about the Bible a lot. We talk about these things a lot. It's just that I don't have, um, I won't say I'm religious, and I don't affiliate with any religious label like Baptist, Mormon, Methodist, any of that. None of that. And none. Don't do it because I believe in the law of nature, and I also practice hermetics and sovereignty and stuff like that. So when you're like that, and then your friend is Christian, it's hard sometimes to have a conversation and articulate it the right way. But she understands me and understands that in here, no matter what I say, when it comes out my mouth, it's in here, the intention was good. If it came out and it sounded fucked up, it's only because I'm not able to articulate it in the proper manner at that time. A lot of that just has to do with simple frustration and just irritation and annoyance of having to explain shit to people sometimes. Because I don't think people are as dumb as they sometimes try to lead people on to believe that they are. I think, especially nowadays, and especially these younger generations, watching my kids grow up and then watching my grandchildren so far, these kids they have stepped their damn game up, and um, they are really in they're way advanced. So it's not something new. Step hiding ones, but right. Oh, I know. My gator's not broke. And what really gets me fired up is when someone that you can tell is struggling with their own stuff like that, sexuality internally, try to tell me I'm confused because I'm bisexual or pansexual is more specific of the term since people get into I looked it up. It's not that, it's pan. So that is more of the one that you would if you had to put me in a box and a label, that's the one you would do it. Because I don't, like I said, I don't date people because of their gender or how they look or whatever. I date them because I get to know them on a more personal level, and I'm attracted to them on a deeper level. And anybody that knows me in real life, um, my gaydar ain't broke. My ghetto ain't either. So my ghetto is definitely not, but my gaydar is not broken. It never has been, and I've never been confused about my sexuality. Literally, I can remember always being attracted to people, women, men, people. That's the way it's been. It's always been that way. And I just that's how I've always been. I'm not gonna change. Can't change that. You're if you know you're born that way. You're born that way, and I do believe that people can be born that way. Because I was. I mean, really. What's omnisexual? I'm wondering if I'm guessing I've probably heard of that, but you're just all over. It's just like all over the place. Cars, money, and sex fuel American ambition. Yeah, unfortunately, for the most part, I don't know. I feel like I have a different purpose, and that's what drives me, um, and what keeps me going. Because I feel like if God hadn't, if I hadn't been through all the stuff um, I've been through all the stuff I've been through because obviously I was supposed to either learn from it or teach with it, use it to teach from, so that other people don't have to. That's funny. Uh, so that other people don't have to go through what I've been through, or maybe if they do, they don't have to struggle as much, or they at least, at the very least, know that they are not alone. Because that's something I didn't always have the luxury or benefit of knowing, uh, or even having someone in my corner. Some of these traumas I have dealt with completely solo or with just like one person that knows about them at the time, and then just dealt with it that way. Um, yeah, yeah, exactly. Some people are, yeah, just like that. But it's like, but those of us that are, we're pretty good at even spotting the ones that don't. You wouldn't really know unless like you know, because until I actually came out to members in my family and my friends, they didn't. They'd never even suspected that about me. And then I show up one day with my girlfriend, and they're like, "What? You have a girlfriend? Since when?" I was like, "Is this a problem?" um, oh, it's so real. Anybody that says it ain't, mm, they deny. They denying some shit. They need to deal with that. That's all I gotta say. That is all I gotta say about that. Because it's definitely real. Sometimes mine can be a little bit off. Maybe it's not off so much as they picked up on me picking up on them, and they try to dial their gayness back because they may still be hiding it. I don't know. But I'm like, I'm in 2023, 2022. I think anything after 2020, why would you want? I mean, I get it. People are still not very friendly to it. I live in a very, very, very liberal town. So it's difficult for me sometimes to see when people are still like that. Um, I have family in Arkansas. I'm in Western North Carolina, so I'm in the South. I've always been here, born and raised, native. That's why I'm telling y'all, people that want to move to Asheville, seats taken, can't sit here. We over capacity, and we don't want you no more. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no. I get that too, and I think part of that was um, kind of what happened with me and um, my daughter's dad. We were really young, and like I said, we didn't get to know each other. Like I didn't get to know me, Emma, until I got to be Emma alone, because I had been a mom for so long that I did not know who Emma was when she wasn't a mom until recently. Um, or not like recently, but like that's when I've just let come out of my shell. Like this is me. Okay, so when my kids get older, and then they're like, "Oh, this is mom. This is the mom that they're gonna know. This is how your mom was before." And then now she's evolved into a um, much more insightful and um, empathetic person because of the different circumstances and situations that I've been in. I have a different kind of perspective on some things, as well as growing up uh, with an interracial parent. and people don't realize that either. They go, "Wait, what?" And I'm like, and then because you just people just automatically assume, and when you say interracial, for one, they think it's black, white, and that you're going to be dark. Well, no, that's not obviously that's not true because my mom is white, my dad is Native American, he's darker. My mom is white. I have blue eyes. My sister has brown eyes. She has brown hair, and I had blonde hair. So it's all about genetics. I just got a notification. Alex Jones Squirrel Revival parody. I love him for that. That really just made my whole night. Like the Sasquatch thing, the Alex Jones thing is we got to start from the beginning and go back to it. Start putting stuff in the water and making frogs turn gay. Like, and I was bullied the entire time I was in school because my parents were very eccentric and they let me and my sister have a freedoms to do like if we wanted to cut our hair short, they'd let us cut our hair short. So I cut my hair short in the second, third, and fourth grade, like cut it off beyond a bob cut. And I didn't wear makeup when I was in third, fourth grade, so obviously, this face, no makeup. I got called a little boy a lot, got picked on a lot, and was called a boy. They'd tell me all the time, "You go over there and sit with the boys," and shit like that. And I'm just like, okay, fine, fuck y'all, then I will. Um, um, okay, so my son-in-law is Mexican, and my daughter is full white. And well, she's partially got native in her, she's like a quarter of it. And they have children together, so my grandchildren are mixed, and one of them is very much lighter skinned than the other. I do think that a lot of the Hispanics are Native Americans that were in the process of migrating during that time period. Um, we can get into that in a whole nother thing because I do think there's a lot to the story, the narrative of the Native American history here and the how they got moved off the land and all that. There's a lot to that that I think is a little bit bullshit, which also bothers me being Native. I feel like in some aspects, uh, some of our own people sold us the fuck out and continue to keep that under wrap to this day for whatever reason. I don't know, and it boggles my mind. It really does. But that's the reason. But so when growing up like that, my mom and dad were just mom and dad. I never looked at them and was like, "Why is mom white? Why is dad brown?" They were mom and dad, and I literally. That's why I say sometimes I grew up colorblind because I don't see people like that. I don't see people based on their color and stuff like that. It's just is not a concept that my brain understands. And my daughter's kind of the same way because of my mom and dad. Like we don't talk about race like that in my house when I was growing up, and her dad's parents didn't either. Like if it come up, we would address it, but we don't make it a thing that comes up all the time. Um, like it's just I don't under. I feel like some people feel like race is important. I feel like at the end of the day, for all intents and purposes, we're all wearing a meat suit that looks humanoid, and at the end of the day, that's what we all look like. The race is just stupid, superficial nonsense that people want to argue over. Honestly, I really do think that. It's just like that. Out of all the shit that we could be arguing about, we choose to argue about what people do in their private homes, in their bedrooms, and what color their skin is. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, and y'all wonder why the aliens don't want to fuck with us or they want to blow us up. Really? I don't think y'all wonder that much. I really don't. Sometimes I'm like, dear Marvin the Martian, some of us are ready for you to please blow this motherfucker up now. And then he never. I don't know if there's some other chain of command I got to go through to get that to happen or what. Um, it does, but everything on TV I feel like is propaganda. Like it's got to be. How is it not? How can it not be? Like, I mean, just make that make sense because they only put out there what they want out there, and it's getting more and more worse as we go along. Like, for some reason, they did something to Jordan Peterson, or they're trying to take his license or some crazy stuff. There are. That's what I always say. I'm like, "Are you?" I was like, I don't have time to argue about that. I don't even want to argue about that because there's like sometimes the people be arguing about stuff. It's like there is no argument to be made. You already lost the argument before it got started. Please stop. Like when people go, name one conspiracy theory that was actually not a theory. I was like, there's several of them, and Nor Jasmine has a video of 50 conspiracy theories that turned out to be true. So they are no longer theories; they actually happened, which means all of us people that call conspiracy theorists were right about a lot of that stuff. Like angels, they are males. Do you believe that just they're just males? Yeah. Oh, wow, that sucks. Okay, well, no, I can kinda relate to that, okay? In a sense that, okay, so it's just not, common for, the Indian culture, their population to date outside of India. It's very, very taboo. Even the westernized ones, it's very, very taboo. Um, so much to the point that, when I was dating one of my Indian buddy, um I know this is gonna sound terrible, but I would always come around and because we live in the basement, I always enter through the back of the house through our door, the basement. Sometimes he would just come in through the front, through the top, the main entrance of the house, and then come down that way. Um, I did not do that because, for one, I'm not trying to be all up in their face with their son's relationship, which is considered taboo in their culture. So I'm being respectful, and I will walk my white ass around and come into the back door like I should. That's how I've always been because 'cause I'm trying to be respectful of that and their belief. Like, they weren't necessarily happy because they want obviously, they still marry people in there. They do that. So they would rather have him picked a wife and then found it and then did the whole wedding thing and all that stuff and stay within the Indian culture, but that's not him, um, for a lot of reasons, um, I'm sure. But, so I just be respectful of that, which is another reason why I am too at the point where I'm like, I don't care about being in a relationship. If my friendships are what I value and are important to me, and at the end of the day, that comes before any relationship that I could possibly be in. And so I always take that into consideration with what I try to do in my end game with that stuff. Like, okay, if you don't want to be with me, that's cool. I get that. But since we live together and we're breaking up, you need to respect the fact that it is going to take me time to get my stuff moved out. And I'm fully capable of living down here and you living upstairs in your room like you do. But there has to be an open line of communication so that we don't step on each other's toes because I'm sure you're going to eventually start seeing other people. I don't want to be down here recording and hear stupid shit. I don't want to hear that. I'm sure you don't want to be upstairs and I wouldn't because this is down here where I live, I consider like our apartment. We live together. So we share a bed together down here. So I would never bring anybody else in this house ever, even after we've been broken up. I will move out and then I'll have dates over. But it is his house, so if he's living upstairs, he is more than entitled to have somebody upstairs. It's just that I feel like being my friend, let me know ahead of time so I can just arrange to not be here or go, hang out with one of my friends for a while. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. Um, Yeah, I'm really glad that you stopped by too. I'm really glad to see all these new faces in here, by the way, tonight. Like Yearny, Snark, and Sass. I'm gonna put that up. And there was also ATL. I got Samuel the Infamous. Let's see, make sure I don't miss anybody. We always have Caucasian Sasquatch. He likes to sit back there in the dark and be quiet and lurk. And then we got Truth Be Told audits. I talked to Brooklyn auditor earlier today. He said it's sick as hell. It's still out there last night, just giving them hell. I was like, yes. Um, yeah. And then there's Arctic, and so yes, so we are. And then there was the Gringo, um, which was Sergey. I think I got everybody. So if I did miss you, duality, the yin and the yang. Yeah. I I feel like the community that I found, because I've not been big on social media that long, and the community that I've found since being on YouTube, because I've only been on YouTube for about 3 years. Literally, I started my channel, I think, right before the pandemic, and I haven't really like tried to grow it so much as um, the messages that I do try to put out there, and the underlying message throughout the whole channel. If you're actually paying attention to it, um, hopefully in the long run will give people an entirely different perspective on how um, some things can look on the outside, but behind closed doors, it's actually an entirely different situation. Um, Big Les show. I haven't heard of that. I'm gonna have to check that. I'm gonna have to check that out. I'm actually write that down on my sticky notes right now while I'm thinking about it. So that is why I'm happy with, like, because there's some people that like they started their channels like way after I did, and they've blown up. But and some of those channels, they deserve it. Arctic Fox does a wonderful job at what he does, and he is one of, hands down, one of my favorite true crime people in the field where he what he does as far as putting out the flyers for the missing constantly, day and night. This man is doing this stuff to get the word out there, and also updates as well when they're found safe and all that stuff. And is really cool about that. Not to mention, he's just like me. He will tell you like it is. He does not give a fuck. That's why I love Arctic, and he knows that. He knows I love him. I hope he's doing okay too. I check on him every once in a while, make sure he's okay, because he has been super supportive of my channel, and I'm super supportive of his channel and everything that he does with his people and what they're doing over there, because they do the true crime community good. They make them look good. There's a lot of other channels that do not, and they do not help the situation at all. So that's another thing that I do every once in a while. I'll discuss that. I usually discuss that stuff more on my podcast, um, because I usually keep it in like a 10-15 minute rant. But that also will be changing in the second season because I have a guest co host and plan on bringing more guests on as well. So hopefully this next season of the podcast will like bump up more. And we're going to be talking about a lot of different stuff. Some of it's personal, some of it is just topics that are like going on around the world, stuff like that, and how it can relate to us and how we can learn from it, stuff like that. Um, Time, and probably not how y'all are thinking we're going to talk about time. It's actually time that we've been operating on, but we wasn't necessarily standardized to be operating on this time system that we've been on for as long as I've been around. Um, so we'll be talking about that. Um, and the reason why I have a guest co-host is because um, I need help within sometimes doing the research and keeping it, you know, together. But also the few times that I have discussed some of this stuff with this person, and they've done research and they always hit me back up. Their stuff they find out, just I'm always like, yes, this is good stuff. So I'm really excited about that too. Um, I'm excited about a lot of things that are going on this year, but I felt like this being the end of the first week really of the new year and all that, we obviously I did a recap last year. I try to do a first week recap and updates and all that at the beginning of the year. Um, so I hope this year is where things really start to take off as far as like getting the messages that I'm trying to get out there. Like the channel can grow at whatever pace it wants to, because I know there is a very good chance that my channel is not going to get monetized, which is why I have other means to get my links in there when I do. Because I used to actually get money from my channel, but I used it through my PayPal, and people would donate, and I did not ask. It was only if they felt like they needed to. Because that's not. I'm not here for the money. I'm here for something much bigger, I think, than myself could ever possibly wrap my head around. Um, yeah, yeah, like I was on a whole freaking 8 hour tangent yesterday over Santa because first of all, uh, Santa's dead, and I was like, why would y'all put that out there and risk kids hearing that shit? First of all, second of all, then I found out when he died. my birthday, which is also known as the day of the death of the saints, but nobody really talks about it because of that. Because I mean, hey, who wants to talk about Santa Claus being dead when he's supposed to be flying around every 25th of December dropping off presents? That's just just one tidbit of that tangent. But North, oh, nice. Is it toasty? I'm sure it's warm out there. It is cold out here. The Happy New Year. Thank you for stopping by. I like the name, by the way. It'd be. Are you like the Andy Garcia? That would be insane. I'd be like, but I don't really get that starstruck. Like I just bought some shoes off of Cameron Maben's wife last year. Coolest down to earth people. Coolest down to earth people that for celebrities, for especially sports celebrities, athletes, stuff like that. Uh, Super freaking cool. Um, yeah, yeah, exactly. That's the reason why I made it a point too that when I do get my cash app, because I went on my card right now as we speak for the second time because my mailman dick back and sent it back. Um, for whatever reason, when it comes in, I will do that. But if I know that I will be discussing anything true crime related, that will never be in the description. It will never be listed in the video title or anything. So you'll just know if you watch the video and you hear me talking about true crime, you're like, oh, there's no cash app to donate. And if you try to donate to me during one of those videos, I will immediately deny it and send it back because I'm not profiting off of these crimes. I'm not profiting off these families suffering and their pain. There's absolutely no way I could do that. It's so much to the point that I know for a fact right now I could have a lawsuit um, because of what happened with my son and how he died. There's a lawsuit, and because of what happened to him, it is the formula recall thing that caused necrotizing interior colitis. My son had that. That's what he died from, and it was because of the formula. I could have multiple millions of dollars if I wanted to go through the process of that trauma all over again and be compensated for, just so I can have people be even more dickbags to me and be like, "Oh, look at her, and she lost her kid, and now she's got all that money, and da 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 da." No, fuck that. I don't need that shit. Don't need it. That shit's for the birds, and they can fly south for the winter and miss me all the way because I ain't with it. I don't. I just can't. I don't. I could. I couldn't. I could not even feel good about myself doing that. That's the reason why I had to say the shit I said about BK back then. That's the reason why I said the shit I said about no thanks and crime and justice and freaking Jim Terry. Jim Terry can still kiss my ever loving ass and suck my freaking balls all damn day long. Ever catch him saying something else about people with Down syndrome, and I'm tempted to be in the car driving to wherever the fuck he's at because I don't play. Like, how are you going to sit there and say something about somebody that doesn't have it, referencing they're looking like people that do, as if they can help that genetically? I'm surprised flames didn't shoot out my nostrils over that one. But then for me to go behind the scenes and ask the creators of the channel that had him on as a guest to like address that, and then just basically say fuck you, we're not going to address it. Not only are we going to not address it, we're going to try to act like it didn't happen. Um, the DMV, the DMV and me, no, we're not down. They've seen me one time, and that was when I got my first ID, and that was the last time they see me. Oh no, they sent me another time. And I went to get my license, and they were like, "Oh, you still owe a seatbelt ticket." And I was like, "Nope, that was supposed to get thrown out." And they're like, "Well, you have to go back to Buncombe County and see what's going on with that." And I was like, "Yeah, okay." And I didn't, and then I'm still driving, and I'll get a ticket, and I'll go to court 3 times after I get it continued. It gets thrown out. You got to know your law, people. You got to know your local law, and it's not driving; it's driving without a license. It's not driving on revoked because I've never had one to be revoked. I'm not driving while impaired or driving while license revoked and impaired. I'm driving without a license, which is the least of the offenses driving without that you can get. I think that's why they always throw mine out. But eventually they're probably gonna be like, little lady, you need to sit your ass in jail and think about what you're doing. I'm like, nah, you want me to break another phone in there? Because y'all don't want to tell me how to use it properly? Because I'm not one to get in trouble and go to jail. I know what I can and can't say and do and get away with and not get away with. So the times that I have been in jail have been over stupid shit that people like found out about, and then they were like, "Oh, I could use that and do that to get her in trouble if I did," and then that's what happened. So like, my parents had took a trespassing charge out on me several years ago during a mental health crisis that I had while I was in the hospital, so that when I got out, if I wasn't well, I couldn't show up and just start shit. And then they forgot to drop it. And then my sister found out that there was an open warrant for my arrest for that. And she called and told them where I was and had them come and pick me up um, in the middle of the night. So I had to go to jail for that. So technically, I feel like that's, and they picked me up here where I live, not at the house where the trespassing was, and should where I should have been arrested if I'd been caught at my parents' house. They could have legally arrested me for trespassing. I think what they did back then was very much legal, and why this ended up getting thrown out. So I go to jail that night, and before I even get booked, there's money on my books. So I asked them, I said, "How is there money on my books? I haven't even called my parents yet." I was like, "Who put money on my books?" They told me the person's name. Obviously, it's my sister. Um, so I was like, she knew she was going to do it and felt bad and just put $10 on my books. Bitch. Anyways, while I was in there, because I've never been to jail before, I wasn't sure about using the phone. And when they gave me the pen, it kept not wanting to work. And after about the third time of the officer doing her rounds and me asking her and her saying when she comes back around, she'd help me, three times around and her not doing that, I grabbed the phone and I smashed it until like the little round thing popped off. And then the goon squad come in, bomb rushed me and shoved me up against the wall. But before they did, I picked it up real quick, screwed on, heard a dial tone, hung it up. So when they slapped me with another charge, which was injury to real property, and the public defender come in and was like, "You just should probably just plead guilty to that." And I was like, "No." And he was like, "What?" I was like, "The phone's not broken." He was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "I picked it up, screwed it back on, heard the dial tone, and hung it up before they escorted me out of the uh, drunk tank." And he said, "But it would be easier." I was like, "Yeah, it'd make your job easier. It'd make the court jobs easier if I just pled to a fucking crime that I didn't commit. However, you're fucking with the wrong one. And I know they got fucking cameras in that damn drunk tank. So go over there and get the tape. Fucking phone ain't broken. I'm not pleading guilty." And he goes, "Oh, you're a little bit more difficult than I had expected." And I was like, "Yeah, because I'm not just your average old country bumpkin that doesn't know what I'm doing. Okay. I didn't break the phone, so I'm not going to plead guilty to that. Okay." Fast forward to September of 2021. Okay, again, I'm here. I'm getting lectured from a cop who's trying to debate me about whether or not I'm now trespassing here. And he's like, "You're trespassing here." I'm like, "No, I'm not live here." He's like, "Prove it." I prove it. Okay. Um, in the course of them getting here, while I'm having a fit, and then we discussed this, I break my back porch light, another injury to real property. So they, during my meltdown that day, I ended up going to the hospital. And while I was at the hospital, I got frustrated and tried to leave the hospital. And in the hospital parking lot, I was approached by the cops in the next county over, and uh, voluntarily went to jail. Literally, they were like, "We're not gonna give you a ride away from the hospital. If you want away, you're walking." And I was like, "Fuck y'all, take me to jail." And they did for disorderly conduct. Mm. But because my mental state, this is during the time period where I go through a lot of PTSD related to the death of my son. So because of my mental state, I remembered that they had given me that ticket. I forgot that I had to appear in court for that. These guys here, they wait a whole year till September of 2022 to just show up one day. And I hear people speaking English upstairs, so I'm like, I wonder if they're here for me. That's not common here. So I open the door. I'm like, "Yo, you guys probably want to talk to me." And they're like, "Oh, Miss N are here." And I'm like, so like I get, they come down and they're like, "We got a warrant for your arrest." I'm like, "What?" They're like, "You got a failure to appear." I'm like, "For what?" And they're like, "For injury to real property." I'm like, the back porch lot is like, I don't know. It happened last year in September, August. I was like, it's the back porch lot. So I have a court date coming up soon. I have to go to for breaking the light on the back porch where I live. It should have got dropped at my last court date in December when the officer and the other party, I guess, would have should have been there that took out the truck. I don't fucking know. Whoever did, they weren't there. Nobody was there, so it should have been thrown out, but it wasn't. So I have to go back again, and it should get thrown out. I don't know what's gonna happen though when I go back, and that's I think it's like the 19th of January. So, um, yeah, it really does though. It does put a lot of stuff in like a totally different perspective. Um, especially when you go through stuff like that, and you see, well, you hear it a lot that people are like the justice system is corrupt, and they do this and they do that and they do this and they do that. They really do. And don't come at me talking about white privilege because I'll tell you real quick, right in a hurry, that that is about the most biggest bunch of bullshit I've ever heard. It's not white privilege. It's affluenza, and it exists in every ethnic population we have. If you're rich and you got money, I don't care if you're white, black, purple, green, yellow, blue, whatever, you will have the upper hand no matter what. If you're black and you got money and you go up against someone that's white, they don't get white privilege because they're white. You got money, you're going to win. And you think I'm lying? No, I've experienced it firsthand because I don't have money, but I'm white. I've been in instances where uh, the other party was obviously in the wrong. They had money, so they took their side. That's just straight up. That's straight up truth. I don't care what anybody says. That is exactly what happened. And then you can imagine how I was acting in the back of that cop car when I got in the back of the cop car, and they were like, da 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 da, and I was like, I don't want to hear nothing else about no white privilege. My that was and where I was at was the, and I was going to slap off. So yeah, don't come at me with that because I don't get it. I've never gotten it. I would love to experience some of that shit to get my ass out of trouble. Just sign me up. Conservatorship and white privilege, please, is on my agenda. Let me get some of that with one of those Brittany dudes. Get me one of those in my conservatorship. Can I get him the money and then some white privilege, please? Stat. Because they it's we're fresh out over here for some reason. They ain't got none available for us white folk. Not North Carolina any damn way. Unless they got bukus of money. So which which I mean you kind of do to live in Asheville. You got to have a decent amount of money because it is pretty expensive to live here. But people still keep moving here. Which again, let me remind you, if you want to move to Asheville, seats taken, can't sit here. We over capacity. We don't have the infrastructure to support you. We don't want it. So, but I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up because it looks like I have some personal messages, and it looks like I might have some company coming down the stairs. So it would be I'm live, so can you give me a second? Just hold on. And then I'll come back either later or tomorrow because there's a whole lot more stuff that we could talk about, like Kanye, Brittany. Is that really Brittany? Why is nobody literally heard from Kanye going on 4 weeks now, and the only picture on his Instagram is of his mother? That's very concerning, no matter how you look at it. So, just some things to be thinking about. What you think about the Idaho stuff, Delphi, Richard Allen. We'll be talking about that. So, sincerely, because we've been going for like almost an hour and a half now. So, I really do appreciate that. And all my news, all my new ones, all my new subbies, all that. Thank you guys. Please come back and then share the love and spread it if you like what you saw. You know, tell your friends that are like minded or whatever that there's some crazy chick always ranting and raving about crazy nonsense over here that it's actually making sense sometimes. So, and then the podcast, of course, is on Spotify and Anchor. It's called GD's Midnight Rants. All 13 episodes of first season are up now, available for you to check out. So go do that too if you want to hear what that's like. And then I'll catch you guys in the next one. Okay? Remember, much love, one love, goodbye.